Okay, I think we're live. Are we live, guys? We look so tired.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
been
tired.
a long weekend, you guys. I shot the documentary on Friday.
It was a full day.
It was a full day, and so I apologize. We both talked this morning, so if we have bags under our eyes, that is why. But we're here, and we're so excited. Hey, Rhonda, I'm so glad you're here. We're so excited about doing this with you guys. This is your first live.
Yeah,
I don't do lives that much. Lives are hard sometimes.
Yeah, they are hard
When you're by yourself sometimes because you got a lot of things going on at once. But as we're waiting for more people to come in, I'm just going to go ahead and share. Whoops, hold on one second. I don't want to end this. Share Todd's YouTube channel. You guys, make sure that you go and you subscribe to Todd's channel, The Confused Wanderer. You're getting up there in your subscribers.
I am 3 months, and that's pretty
I
good.
know,
But
that's really good.
It's all from your people mostly.
Well, that's how it happens on YouTube. We help each other out. And so, as you guys know, Todd I've been doing it with him, but it's primarily going through all of the Cassiopaean.
Well, I started with the raw material, and so just setting a foundation so people understand about the densities and the veil and different kinds of people here in third density, things like that, setting the foundation for further information to come out, especially with the Cassiopaean stuff.
And hey, Midwest Night Watchers always get tongue tied. That's they're great.
You did shows with them.
We do shows, and they moderate for me. They're awesome. They're friends with Jessica Jones.
Yeah, love Jessica.
We love Jessica. I know we need to hang out with her.
No, we haven't seen her in a while.
I know Jessica's awesome, and so they go through a lot of like the cryptid stuff and the their channel is really great. You guys, if you're
have you talked to them about our skinwalker experiences?
Yeah, and Jessica too. Well, they also, you guys, if you're not subscribed to Midwest Night Watchers, because they go through a lot of the Tartaria stuff too, and where is Egypt and that kind of stuff, and just like not what we've been taught about this world is not accurate. And they go through we did a really cool episode, you guys. I'll tag it, or if you guys want to tag it, you can. We did an episode going over ancient pictures, like paintings that have like UFOs in them and Dogman and all that kind of stuff. And hey, Roger, and if you hear weird noises, I know that I say this a lot, but people get weird on the internet. Our dog is right beside us chewing on a bone right now. If you see us make weird faces, he's been quite gassy today. So, so that's probably what it is. So you guys make sure that you go and subscribe to both Todd and to Midwest Night Watchers. Make sure, because we talk about weird stuff, you guys. And because of that, we kind of get punished sometimes for being curious about the world around us and asking questions that apparently we're not supposed to be asking. Thank you. Awesome. The Promise MAGA 444. I hope I'm wearing my glasses, but as I said, you guys, I'm exhausted. Friday was a very long day, but it was awesome. I had such a good experience. It was a good experience, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
It was a great production company. They were awesome. Oh, we got the UK in the house. Speaking of UK, I have to say this. Today is Catherine Edwards' birthday. So if you see her over on Catherine Edwards' channel, make sure you wish her a happy birthday today, November 2nd. And so, yeah. So, all right, you guys. Well, where do we want to start?
I don't know.
You had a question. Actually, should we start with the RH negative? Hey, Texas. Should we start? Where do you guys want to start? Let's ask the chat. Do you guys want to start with us talking about the RH negative stuff, reviewing that and like what that has to do with the law of one and the 3 different humans on the world or in the world right now? Or do you want to start with like Cassiopaean stuff? Where do you guys? Hey, you guys, RH negative. Okay. Yeah. Oh, awesome. I got a lot of RH negatives on my channel.
Yeah.
A lot of subscribers. And it's so crazy because RH negatives are only 15% of the world's population. But what we're about to talk about, it makes sense that I would have a lot of RH negatives here because, well, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
We're kind of weird. We're weird.
You're the expert on
well,
that.
we're both RH negative. Both Todd and I are RH negative. So, and a lot of you guys are as well. I mean, you got the red hair. That's typical of RH negatives. I've got all the other traits.
Extra vertebra.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that as well. The extra, because that's kind of come up a lot with the conversation with the Cassiopaeans, the RH negative.
Yeah, and if you're an adult, you would know by now if you have an extra vertebra, because you would have a lot of back issues.
Yeah, we're going to get into that because we've had a lot of people ask about that, about the extrovert. I have an extra vertebrae. We're going to talk about that. That is only an RH negative thing. That's it. And it's not something like, I know when we brought it up last time, you might have to speak up a little bit just so they hear it. Can you guys hear Todd?
Can y'all hear him? I'm a soft speaker, so
I'm not a soft speaker. So this kind of came up, and we've talked about RH negatives a lot on my channel. That's kind of the first thing that made my channel big, was going into it. And the only reason why I initially started looking into RH negatives, you actually brought it up to me because of like weird things that happened.
When we first started dating, you were saying that you were RH negative.
No, you asked me. You were like, "Are you RH negative?" Because you had seen something on Reddit. Because I have so many weird anomalies that happen to me. And I didn't really know, but I knew that I had a type. What I did know about my blood was that if I ever got pregnant, that I would probably have to have these shots that help with pregnancy, like, and that's normal for when babies are born, little girls. They normally know right away because of the difficulties of having a child when you are RH negative. So but I didn't really know anything. I just knew that I had this weird blood that meant I was going to have like support having children. I didn't know it meant it was you that then I went back and I was like, oh, I'm O negative. Like I'm RH negative. But the funny thing is he's also RH negative. So the whole childbirthing thing, if I were to get pregnant, it wouldn't be a problem because he's also RH negative. So all that goes out the window. But because 85% of the world's population is RH positive, most women do end up with like my sister is RH negative and her husband is RH positive, and they have 4 kids, and only one of them is RH negative. So she had support. She had rough pregnancy. She really, it's hard for RH negatives to get pregnant. So first of all, what is an RH negative? Like, what does that mean?
Means that you don't have certain proteins in your blood.
You don't have the rhesus.
Right. And so that's a clearer blood of obstacles. And so from what I understand, energy, you can hold more energy in your body and move more energy around more freely. So I think that's one reason why RH negatives are the most intuitive, psychic, and that they have more paranormal experiences, because they can move that energy through their body, and it's just naturally they hold more energy. And so I think it takes that to be able to pierce the veil. And
can y'all hear him? Let us know if you have a hard time hearing him. I'm hard of hearing, so
and then also our eyes are different. The back of our eyes are different, so we perceive light differently, and that also would mean that you could see phenomenon that other people can't see.
So RH negatives, kind of the phenomenon around, and this is why I started doing research into it, because all of a sudden, and let us know in the chat, guys, because again, we have a lot of RH negatives here. There were things that would happen to me in life that were happening to no one else. And I could not explain it. And I think when I started researching RH negatives, all of a sudden I didn't feel crazy anymore. And I realized I had an answer. And if you guys see the table shake, Ravi's getting a pet down right now. So he might knock the table, our dog. But so RH negatives, again, we're only 15% of the world's population. And it means we don't have the RH factor in our blood, the rhesus factor. And if you're O negative, for the occult, for the esoteric world, they see that. Now, this is how they see it. This is not, again, how I see it. They see it as being a pure blood. So what that means is that, like, for me, who's O negative, and I think we have quite a bit of O negatives in the chat. I've seen some O negatives. We have nothing in our blood. So we don't have any antigens, protein, that kind of stuff. Like, you're A negative. So you have the A antigen in your blood. So O negatives have literally, like, They're considered pure bloods by the elite. And a lot of the elite, the establishment themselves, they like to be art. We're considered blue bloods. So like the royal family, monarchy, they all really like keeping the Rh negative within their bloodline, right? They don't want us peasants to be Rh negative, do they? And there's reasons for that. They have their own occultic reasons for that. Now, I want to just make it clear that it doesn't matter what your bloodline is. Like, every human life is valuable. Okay, so I want to get out of this, like, I'm a peasant. That's so funny. A positive. We're all peasants. I mean, listen, I think they're probably mad that some of the RH leaked out. Oh, that's Ravi. He's letting you know that your life is valuable, right? And with that, with the different personalities, because different blood types, like when I realized the RH negative thing, I started to research. Rafi is being very vocal. If you guys can hear him, he wants to play. He doesn't like it. I know, buddy. He doesn't like it when it appears as Todd's giving me attention, and he gets a little jealous.
He's not used to me sitting over here.
He's not used to. So I started to research other bloodlines as well, just to see, because in my mind, we're all special. Every human being on the planet is created by God. And I believe from our yoga study that genetically, whatever you have genetically, it's part. He just knocked the light out. Robbie just knocked the light out. Whatever genetically you have going on with your blood that creates certain personality types, it's part of your karma. So like each life, you might be different depending on what your soul is going to work on. I hope that makes sense. If you guys have any questions about that, no, don't shut the door. He's gonna scratch the door. He'll calm down in a minute. Okay. Sorry guys. Actually, you might hear him ripping up bills if you leave him alone in there. Okay. So pull up a chair. Robbie, come pull up a chair. He's headed for the dirty clothes now, guys. You might see him running across with some TODD underwear in a minute. So it's okay, buddy. It's okay. You want to come over here? You want to see the people? So anyway, 15% of the population, there are different side effects. Just like any type of genetic trait, there are side effects. Sorry, guys. Different personality types, like A's, we get A, like you're super organized. A's are very, I'm organized as well. B's are more relaxed. Like my sister is B negative, and you can see the B personality coming out in her, can't you? Like she's very chill, very, very relaxed. O negatives, like what I am, we have considered the most energy because there's nothing in our blood. And this makes sense. Like most professional athletes are O negative. I have a lot of energy, don't I? Like I have a lot of endurance. I can go. And so that makes sense because there's nothing in the blood to like weigh the blood down, if that makes sense. And blood is life force, right? So when we look at like the soul, so the soul is none of this. Like our soul is not our blood type. Our soul is not even our gender. It's not our family. The body in spirituality, the body is what's considered the Shakti, or the creation of the soul. So every life, depending on what your karma you're working through, is going to give you a different Shakti. But with every single Shakti, with the Shakti, with the nature, there is a representation of the soul. And so blood would be the prana or the chi, the representation of life force. Okay. In general, doesn't matter what type, doesn't matter at all. It's just your life force. And so with that life force comes different anomalies, again, depending on what your soul came here to do. Now, you will find Rh negatives in all of the ethnicities on the planet, but it is most common in European people or white people. And I saw mentioning the Basque nation. Yeah, it's more common within Europeans for some reason, but you will find it in other races too. It's like a minority though. Like when I go to India, for example, I don't know if you knew this, when I'm in India, I'm supposed to have on a medical bracelet.
Oh, right.
Because I'm O negative. And like here in America or in Europe, they usually keep, like our emergency paramedics keep O negative in the ambulance, because O negative blood can be given to anybody. So they always keep it in stock so they can emergency give a blood transfusion. without even knowing the person's blood type, because O negative can be given to anybody, but O negatives can only receive O negative. I can only receive O negative. And so, but when I'm in India, because India, there's like very few RH negatives at all, I have to wear a medical bracelet so that if there's an accident, I never have done it though, but I'm supposed to be wearing a medical bracelet in case there's an accident. So the doctors in India know I'm O negative. And so it's some of our good friends in Atlanta are Black and are O negative. Like, so there are it's in other races too, but it's just predominantly, you find it a lot in Europeans. You find it mostly in the European monarchy families. They're all O negative, specifically O negative. You see side effects. There's a lot of red hair, blonde hair, blue, green eyes are common with O negatives. It's not the rule. It's just generally speaking. There are a lot of people with dark eyes, dark hair that are also Rhesus negative, but generally speaking, that's very typical of an RH negative. Red hair, blonde hair, blue eyes, green eyes. You also have, as Todd spoke about, the anomaly with our eyes. So like I have astigmatism is what they say. It's not really astigmatism when it's an RH negative, but that's the closest thing that they can diagnose us with. So what do I mean by this? In the eye, so in my eye and in Todd's eye, it looks just like a normal eye, right? Well, the back of the eye that we can't see, we all have this back part of our eye. For RH positives, it's a circle, just like the pupil is in the front of the eye. But for RH negatives, in the back of our eye, it's shaped like a diamond. Okay. So this means that RH negatives take in light differently than RH positives. So this is why RH negatives, generally speaking, have a lot of paranormal experiences through and through. You can find so many different like podcasts on this, YouTube videos on this, where RH negatives are constantly, they're talking about the phenomenon of RH negatives just having these experiences. And my thinking on this is that it's not necessarily that RH negatives are having more paranormal phenomenon. I think it's just that RH negatives can see it and feel it more.
Right.
Does that make sense? That they're actually aware of it because they can physically see it when others can't. Now it is problems driving, because like I have a ring light on now. I have to wear my glasses sometimes at the ring light, and driving we're supposed to. I don't wear glasses driving, but we're supposed to.
I have a really hard driving at night because of the lights. And
it's the way we take it's just it's everything looks like a Christmas tree, right? The shining light. So we also have lower blood pressure and lower body temperature. Like I'm always cold. Now there is phenomenon around that too. Like I am always cold, aren't I? Like even in the summer here, I'll have the heater on at my feet. Now I thought it was just like my resting body temperature is between 94 and 96.
Which is wild.
I don't know what that would be in Celsius, but Fahrenheit. What's the average body temperature for people? 98.7 or something.
Yeah.
So most people in Fahrenheit, their resting body temperature is like 98.7. But for a lot of RH negatives like myself, my resting body temperature is between 94 and 96. So if I have a temperature of 98, I have a fever. Right. So that's important to know for RH negatives, because even though you wouldn't classify as a fever, you do have a fever. And so also we have like a lower heart rate. Now the organ thing that gets to the extra vertebrae, like a lot of RH negatives, especially O negatives like myself, will have an extra organ for some reason. It's like a really weird thing. I don't really even know why. Like I know a couple O negatives who have like an extra liver, which is handy, because O negatives are the universal donor. So if you got an extra liver or an extra kidney, it can be given to anyone. I have an extra urinary tube, which I think and that hasn't caused any problems. Like I don't think when people have extra organs, there's not a lot of problems. They don't really have like health problems because of it.
It's the extra vertebra.
It's the extra vertebra that's the problem, and we'll get to that. Like a lot of people find their extra organs in their body as RH negatives through other medical tests. Like my extra urinary tube was found because hey guys, hey Dragon Collective, and if I missed you, I'm sorry. I'm loving all the chat right now. My medical problems my whole life have really revolved around being RH negative. And that's when they found my extra urinary tube, was looking for other things. And it was just kind of like, oh, look, she's got an extra urinary tube, which I always think God has a sense of humor. Like, what am I going to, I can't give it to somebody. I just have two on one side and one on the other. Like, it's kind of there. So, but the extra vertebrae, that is something that has really come up a lot, and especially talking about the Cassiopaeans and the three types of humans on the earth. And the extrovert, I have an extra vertebrae. And I want to specify this. Like, I don't want anybody watching right now. Obviously, most of you guys are adults. I mean, kids can watch with your parents, but we're not really a channel for children. You would know by the time you're an adult if you have an extra vertebrae. It causes a lot of health problems, a lot. It is not. I went through hell and back as a kid. At 13, I started to experience problems. And I went through 4 years of intense physical therapy, these steroids. And finally, when I was 17, I remember the doctor would test the back of my leg, and I had lost feeling in the back of my leg because the extra vertebrae there wasn't a lot of space, right? And so it was pressing on a nerve. And so they had to go in and do surgery. And that happens a lot. So I don't want anybody to freak out. Like, you would know. And it's not something that like a chiropractor can find. It's not, they find it through x-rays, MRIs, like
something they can feel for, because it's at the base of the spine.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's where any pressure in there isn't going to be able to tell them whether you have an extra vertebra. It's got to be MRIs, x-rays to be able to tell.
Yeah. And so it gets into kind of that opens up that and it can only happen to RH negative. So if you're RH positive, don't worry about it. And it's not something, and I think this kind of opens up a more kind of serious conversation about the value of human life again, because I think what's happened is, and we were trying to talk about this on your channel, when we talk about like organic portals, souled people, and wanderers, these are the three types of people on the planet right now. And wanderers are basically people that have come down from like sixth density to wander basically back. They come back down to third.
And it's because of karma.
It's because of karma that they've decided to like volunteer as tribute to come down. And there's certain side effects, and you never know for sure. But one thing we've learned is that wanderers can only live in RH negative bodies. So all RH negatives or all wanderers are RH negative, but not all RH negative are wanderers. And do you want to talk about that a little bit, about why that is?
Well, for one, if a wanderer tried to inhabit a body without RH negative blood, the body would self-destruct because it wouldn't be able to take the higher energy that a wanderer inherently has.
Yeah. Right. But it doesn't make the wanderer better. And I think that's where the problem is.
Exactly. Because we're all, wanderer or not, we're all subject to the veil.
Yeah.
And so we're all in the same state of the lack of remembering.
Yes.
And not being able to understand things outside of third density experience. In a sense.
We all go through amnesia. And so,
and that's what it is. That's a better, And the veil would be amnesia from your higher density. So it's all a level playing field.
So even if you're like just a souled being in this life, doesn't mean that you're not going to come back as a wanderer in a next density cycle. Like there's no, and I think that's the problem with the spiritual community, is that people think in like elitism, and thinking in elitism is definitely a negative polarity, right? Like having a pecking order of value. On the positive side, everybody is equal. We are all equal, whether you're a wanderer or a souled person or even an organic portal. We are all we are all fractals of God, right? And so we have to get rid of this idea that if you are not a wanderer, that for some reason you're not spiritually valuable, because that's not true at all. And I think that's and I think that's just the programming we have from the world.
The new age system.
And the new age system. Yeah. It's people, I'm in the fifth dimension. Well, no, you're not, honey. We're all in third density. If you were in the fifth dimension, we'd all be in the fifth dimension. Get out of your delusions. It's just delusional ego. When people say that, that's just very ego, which is the false sense of self. If I'm better than you, I know better than you. No, we're all dumbasses here because we all went through amnesia. But I wanted to share something too about an extravertebrate to explain why we see it a lot in wanderers, why the extra, because you even said something like if you have an extravertebrate,
you're
most likely a wanderer.
Yeah.
So let's look at this. Let me see if I can pull this up. So I literally, before we came on, I just literally asked Chat GPT because I had seen this before in other text like Bloodline of the Gods. So let's just read through this for a second. The spiritual meaning of having extravertebrate is interpreted in many different ways depending on which spiritual, esoteric, or metaphysical framework you look through. While medically it's often just an anomaly, I'm not even going to talk about the medical stuff because that's confusing in itself. You have some scientists that are like, these people are literally a different species, right? Rh negatives are literally a different species. So we're not even going to get into that. But one, Kundalini and energy body symbolism. In Eastern esoteric tradition, particularly in Kundalini yoga and tantric philosophy, the spine is seen as the central column of spiritual energy, Sushumna Nadi, which I've talked a lot about on my channel. An extravertebrate equals extra gateway or node for energy to flow. Some interpret an additional vertebrae as a sign of a heightened spiritual capacity, an expanded conduit of life force energy or prana. It may symbolize a potential for higher activation of chakras or even additional micro chakras associated with intuitive or physical sensitivity. Now that's interesting to me, Todd.
Yeah, because I've never seen that. And
that's the siddhis.
Yeah, right.
The siddhis, the
right.
micro. Yeah. 2, symbols of evolution of advanced blueprints. So certain metaphysical starseed, we're all starseeds, perspective, particularly from New Age or channeling circles, interpret physical anomalies like an extra rib, vertebrae, or unusual bone structures as sign of genetic or spiritual evolution. The extra vertebrae is sometimes said to represent an evolutionary step, a sign that the soul carries newer energetic codes meant for expanded consciousness. In this framework, it might suggest a bridge between human and higher dimensional awareness or marker of ancient or celestial lineage. Shamanic or earth-based interpretations, some indigenous and shamanic worldview, the spine represents the axis mundi, the world tree connecting heaven and earth. The extravertebrae might be seen as a sacred branch, a special connection between realms, or an ability to travel more easily between the physical and spiritual worlds. Those with such physical differences might be guarded as bridge people or walkers between two worlds. What do you think about that with the experiences you've had living with me?
Yeah.
We can talk more about that, the walkers between two worlds.
Yeah.
Symbol of burden or strength. On a psychological or symbolic sign, Jungian or architectural thought, the spine represents support, stability, and courage. An extravertebrate can symbolize greater strength or burden, carrying more than one share. In this lifetime, often in service or leadership roles, it might also indicate old soul energy, one who has carried the spiritual weight of many incarnations. Biblical and esoteric Christian associations and esoteric Christian mysticism. The spine sometimes symbolizes Jacob's ladder, the pathway between heaven and earth. An extravertebrate could metaphorically represent an added rung, extra access to divine wisdom or spiritual ascent. Some mystics' interpretations even link it to 33 steps of spiritual initiation because there are traditionally 33 vertebrae in the human spine. But for someone like me, I have 34. As an additional vertebra could symbolically suggest a hidden or higher intuition level. All right. So it's interesting just to see, even though sometimes Chat GPT could be weird. I thought that was pretty, that kind of matches some of the research I've done. Do you have anything you want to say about that when it comes to wanderers?
The living in both worlds, and that has to do with the low body temperature as well. Because when someone lives between both worlds, the other world tends to
attract.
Tends to I guess create that lower body temperature when you have the connection to that other world and that sort of timeless state.
Well, and that's what some other resources said, that people who have low body temperature are always cold. It's because their spirits around them all the time.
Yeah.
And so I when we first started dating, you kind of validated some things for me because I have spiritual attacks like all the time, don't I? It's like,
and that's due to the extra vertebra, because the astral beings and spirits and the 4D service to self like to tap into that extra vertebra.
They like to take. And I've even, there have been times, and I've told you this before, it took me a long time to figure out what was happening. I will go somewhere and I will plan to go somewhere and I'll be fine. And then we'll get to this location. And then all of a sudden I just feel like I can't move. Like I can't stand up. Like I'm just being drained. Like I'm so tired. It's a different type of tired than like I need to go to bed tired. And it took me a long time to figure out what was happening because it wouldn't happen to you. And I finally realized what was happening was I was being, wherever we were, there was a spirit that was feeding off of my energy.
It usually made your back hurt, your lower back hurt.
My lower back would hurt. Yeah. And so we just leave at that point, but it took a while.
Certain trails, when we go to the mountains, certain trails would bother your lower back.
Yeah.
And then come to find out those were places where skinwalkers were commonly found.
Yeah. Jessica, actually, there's one trail that Todd would go on all the time. And I hate this trail. Like I hate it. I bitch and complain. I turn into a bitch when we're on that trail, don't I? I get mean. I don't want to be there. I don't like it. I just never have liked it. And Jessica, I was telling our friend Jessica, the cryptid huntress, about it. And she was like, oh yeah, that's like
talking about Glassy Mountain.
Yeah, that's like infected with skinwalkers.
Yeah,
and I was like, well, ain't that something? And you've seen me experience, sometimes I think people have what we laugh a lot. We watch these paranormal episodes and half the time people are talking about spiritual attacks. And I'm like, that's not a spiritual attack. Like they'll show pictures of stuff and we laugh because you actually one day, I always tell the story. You saw me getting out of the shower and you literally saw slashes just appear on my back, bruises. And that's part of, and so with that being said, like that doesn't make me any better than anybody else at all. In fact, I would trade being an RH negative with an RH positive any day of the week. Sold people who are not wanderers have it so much easier. And I'm going to explain and that's the really hard thing for a wanderer too. And I want to talk about this too, because I'm sure if we have other wanderers on the channel, things don't happen for wanderers like they do for normal people. You can work your ass off as a wanderer and do everything right and not make money. The world is full of obstacles for wanderers. And it's because the dark entities, what they call the Lizzies or the 4D negative, are feeding off of you. They're not feeding off of souled people. They're feeding off of wanderers. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Well, it's because multiple reasons, but the main reason is because we're a stronger battery for them to feed off of. So they're always going to move towards the strongest source of power. Yeah.
And we don't even know how to use that power. That's what I always we're just as clueless, right? And I think that's what makes, if I had to guess, I would say depression probably runs and anxiety high in wanderers, because you don't fit in with everybody else and things. Like you could have a friend that works so hard on their career and they get all the blessings, the fruits of their labor. And then as a wanderer, you're doing all the same work, but you're losing money. And people, other people constantly feeding off of you, stealing your ideas. It feels like a life of constant attack and struggle for wanderers. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is a life of constant attack and struggle. I mean, I had someone I've only done a couple of shows with on my channel wrote a whole damn book with all of my teachings, claiming it as, she smeared me before she did that. It's frustrating, but once you kind of understand that you have answers, like you're not crazy, and NPCs, organic portals, are their sole purpose is to plug into a wanderer. Do you want to talk more about that for people who missed that? Like
about organic portals?
Yeah. He has a video on his channel, the three souls, the three type of people on this planet.
Right.
Wanderers, souled, and organic portals.
Right. And the topic of organic portals isn't so we can label someone as an organic portal, but an organic portal is a person that only has their bottom three energy centers, and they are here to basically be controlled by the 4D service to self. And they are also a way for, since the service to self can't create anything of their own, they have to they have to sort of feed off of the sold people's third density ideas. And so they use organic portals as a way to steal ideas and creativity and energy from the 3D, third density sold people, well, especially the wanderers.
Yeah.
But it's no use in going around trying to figure out who's an organic portal and who's not. That's not what it's that information. That's when it's not what it's meant for. It's just so we're aware that there are people that have no spiritual awareness because they don't have their upper energy centers. And
it's like that study that came out a few years ago that like 50% of the population doesn't have an internal dialogue. We've talked about that on my channel before, but when that study came out, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, must be nice. You mean you don't lay in bed at night and go over every conversation you've had since kindergarten and rethink and overanalyze and, like, I don't even know what that's like constantly, but that's literally 50% of the population is organic portals. And basically they've jumped the line. There's still, we still have to treat organic portals as human beings because they are. They're just missing their upper chakras and they tried to jump the line. They tried to jump over second density and straight into third. And so they don't have the ability to really comprehend the choices that are being made here. I know Dragonfly gobsmacked. It's crazy, isn't it? Like, I can't believe there are people that just get up, go to work, think about what they're doing at that time, and then go home and think, not overanalyze everything in their life and I think some of us self-reflect a little too much sometimes, and it causes anxiety. And so we had a question. Someone wanted to recap what a wonder is. So maybe just a quick recap of the 3 types of people. This all comes from the law of one, by the way, for people who don't.
And the Cassiopaean material. So to a certain extent, because the law of one didn't really go deeply into organic portals. Mostly it was focused on the third density sold people. So third density sold people, they're going through either their first or second 75,000 year third density cycle. And they're just looking to polarize enough to either go service to self or service to others. And their life is pretty straightforward. And so, 50% of the population are going to be sold people, and 2% of that 50% of sold people are going to be wanderers. Now, wanderers didn't come here because of love and light. Wanderers came here to resolve karma from their third density cycle. And so it takes, all those millions, if not a billion years of evolution after third density to be able to make it to sixth density. And once you're in sixth density, you've merged both wisdom and love together, and you've moved past the evolutionary cycle where there's no more polarity of service to self, service to others. And so eventually, when you're in sixth density, you choose to what they call wander back into a third density cycle, because there's not a whole lot of karmic work at that point that you can do within sixth density. So it takes you wandering back into third density to work on certain karma that you don't really have access to in sixth density. And so they consider those people that come and wander are like the spiritual super soldiers. And one reason why they call them, spiritual super soldiers is because you have to be extremely, extremely brave and probably a little bit reckless to decide to come, a little crazy to come back to third density, because, there's no guarantee that a wanderer is going to make it out of third density. In a sense, they can end up back in the karmic loop. They can end up having to redo another third density cycle.
Yeah. It's dangerous to be a wanderer.
Right. And also they would have to redo not only third density again if they make some major mistakes and depolarize and end up graduating 4D negative, which is possible. And so that would mean they would have to redo third, redo fourth, fifth, to make it all the way back to their native 6 density cycle. I'm not sure how often that happens, but it is a possibility. And so, the wanderers come back, they experience, the veil, just like all 6 density,
our 3rd density.
I mean, all 3rd density beings, whether it be organic portal or soul being. And then they have to, work on hopefully awakening to their purpose. And yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Such drama.
Yeah.
Such drama. Somebody asked, and I want to answer this. The bounty hunter bear said, what your knowledge and or thoughts on them changing the blood types. And I'm glad you asked that. I used to think that they had changed the blood types, like with I thought that maybe they put in Rh positive. Now I don't have that opinion anymore.
They changed the blood types,
like altered, messed with the DNA and the blood types.
Oh,
with
no.
I don't think I don't think they can, because like if you give a blood transfusion to somebody whose blood is incompatible, it will kill the person. So if I take blood that's not O negative, so O negative can go to anybody, I can only take O negative, it will kill me. I would check that again, Bounty Bear, because that literally could kill a person. So I would check that with your paperwork. And I don't know what your sex is, what gender you are, but if you're male, see, and this goes back to you. This goes back to the blood thing again, like with our society. So I knew my whole life that the blood type I had was going to have help having children from a very young age. So that's why I knew my blood was different. You didn't know you were A negative until just recently, because it doesn't matter for men. An Rh negative man can get both Rh positive and Rh negative women pregnant. There's no problem with their fertility. It's the women that matter. And so I would just double check and make sure they didn't make a typo in your medical records, because it's literally not possible to change the blood type at all. It doesn't change. It's like you can't change your race. You're either born with an XX chromosome or an XY chromosome. That doesn't change. Even with medication, that will not change.
Your blood type's not going to change.
Your blood type is not going to change. Your eye color is not going to change unless you put contacts on, right? Hair color, that's a different story. It does change with age. But you can't change your gender. You can't change your race. You can't change your blood. There's just certain things about you that is black and white that will not change for this life. Okay. And so sometimes they can make typos on medical records. I would just, you can get your own blood testing kit at home. You did that a couple of times and it's pretty clear. It's very clear. And so, and you also look at your parents too. So you can have 2 Rh positive parents that have an Rh negative child. Rh negative is a recessive trait, just like blue eyes, just like blonde hair, all that kind of stuff. That's all recessive. So if you have 2 parents who are Rh positive, but if they have a parent who is Rh negative and so forth, they will carry the recessive trait. Now, 2 Rh positive people cannot have an Rh positive baby.
You mean 2 Rh negative people?
2 Rh negative people. We can only have an Rh negative baby because we are the recessive trait. Just like 2 blue-eyed people cannot have a brown-eyed baby, but 2 brown-eyed people can have a blue-eyed baby because the dominant can carry the recessive, but the recessive can't carry the dominant. I hope that makes sense. So you can have it mixed in your family. So my mom is B negative, my dad is O positive. But in order for my sister to both be Rh negative, we have grandparents who are obviously, and it's pretty obvious. You met my dad's parents. It's pretty obvious.
What do they say? No, you can't
change. No, it's not possible. That's impossible to change your blood type. So you have to look. So my mom is B negative. My dad is O positive. So if neither my sister and I were ever going to be A, what his blood type is, because we don't have that. We can only either be B negative, B positive, or O negative, O positive. And I'm O negative. She's B negative. And so that comes to your parents as well. So if we had a baby, our baby would either be O negative or A negative. And it would depend on, I hate this word, but this is the word they use. It would depend on if he secretes A antigen. So if he's not a secretor, then it would be I hate that word, but that's the actual word. The baby would be O negative. right? And so it works. So the blood type works like all the other genetics do, like blonde hair, blue eyes, green eyes, whatever. It works the same. The Punnett squares you did in biology in like the 9th grade, it works the same. So you can't change your blood type, just like you can't change your gender, just like you can't change your race, right? I was born white. I'm never going to be a black person in this life. I'm never going to be Asian. That's just genetically what I am in this life. And yeah, that can't change. So, a negative, no, a negative cannot make a positive at all. They can only make a negative because it's recessive. Two positives can make a negative if they carry the recessive trait. So like two brown-eyed parents could make a blue-eyed baby if both brown-eyed parents carried the recessive trait. But if one parent only carries dominant and one parent carries recessive and dominant, the baby will be dominant. It might have recessive. It just goes back to it. There was a really funny story I read. Well, it's not funny. It's traumatic. But this girl was in like her high school biology, or no, sorry, college biology class, and they were doing blood type testing, and she tested her blood, and she was confused because it didn't match her parents' blood. Like it was a different blood type, like it could not come from her parents. And the professor kept saying, "Oh, well, you must be mistaken." So she went to talk to her parents about it, and it turns out her mom had an affair. Right. So like these genetics will get you in trouble sometimes, because it's just as black. There's not many things in this world that are black and white. Most things in this world are nuanced, but your blood type, your race, your gender, those are like solid. Right. So let's see. They also, what's a DES daughter? DES granddaughters. I don't know what that is, but my mom's RH negative. And my sister and I are both RH negative. And so my dad, though, was O positive, but obviously my dad's parents were super, super like woo woo.
Oh yeah.
My dad's parents, like you met them.
Yeah.
They're like, they were neat, weren't they? Very neat. Very, yeah. So, I mean, grandmother Mary Ann, she had books on reincarnation under the bed for my grandfather.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah. So anything
what other
else?
subject?
Well, what else do you want? Anything else you want to say about that?
No, you're more schooled on the RH negative.
It doesn't matter though. Whatever you are, whatever blood type you are, is beautiful, right? That's just doesn't matter. Just do your karma. If you think you have to be something other than yourself, that's your ego talking, and that's your false sense of self. Just be you. Just face your karma in this life. Be you. It's all beautiful. It's all amazing. And that's that. Like, don't think, I really want to put that out there. Just what makes somebody a good person is who they are as a person, their choices, not their blood type, not their family, not, it's their kindness. It's their ability to be of service in the world. That's the valuable, right? So anyway,
people sometimes get upset.
People sometimes get upset, and it's like, why? It doesn't matter. I don't think of myself as being, do I think of myself as being any better than anybody else because of this? No. In fact, I think I would rather be O positive. So I know, okay, you want to switch gears?
Sure.
Y'all ready to switch gears?
What are we going to talk about?
Talk about some drama, some tea.
With the Cassiopaeans.
Give the scoop. Because you had a question about
with the Laura Knight stuff.
Laura Knight. And on your channel, I said, let's talk about it on the live. So if you guys are not keeping up with this, Todd is on his channel, is absolutely obliterating this cult. And your last episode is my favorite. I'm so sad I couldn't join you. If you guys have not checked out his last episode, you went through this article that was written in like 2003 or something.
Yeah. 2003. Rollo Tomasi. It's a great
funniest.
Someone that came in that was going to do an article on the Cassiopaeans, and for one reason, but it got exposed once he started to get in there and realized what a cult it was becoming. And this was at the very sort of the beginning of the Cassiopaean material, like really making it onto the mainstream. And it's a hilarious article. And I read it in my last episode on my channel. If you should go back and listen to it, and also listen to previous episodes, because it sort of lays the foundation for what's going on here with the Cassiopaean material and Laura Knight, and how I was sort of tricked.
Well, let's back up a little bit, because this is, we've kind of talked about this, but we'll give a Cliff Notes version. So who are the Cassiopaeans? They're a star constellation. This woman named Laura Knight has been channeling them for like 34 years.
Well, yeah, but let's back up a little bit further, because it wasn't her that started it.
No, it wasn't.
It was Fred Earland was the original channeler of the Cassiopaeans. And he brought in Laura to be the other person on the planchette when they were channeling, because it's all done on a spirit board. And they channeled together for what? It was 8 years or something like that. They channeled together, and then Fred decided to go a separate way, and wanted to separate from Laura. And Laura ended up sort of stealing all of Fred's work and creating a cult around the Cassiopaean material.
Well, when I met you, you introduced me to the Law of One and the Cassiopaeans. And I was really fascinated by the Law of One, but you were like really into these Cassiopaeans. And granted, they are, even though we now know they are fourth density negative, we also know that they can't lie. And so you can get information from negative entities of value. All they're going to do is just manipulate, because in their world, there's no veil. So they really can't lie, but they can manipulate. So as long as you know what you're looking for, you can get information, right? And so you were really into the Cassiopaeans. Every time there was a drop, you'd get excited. We'd read it. And I think it was before I started going over the Cassiopaeans on my channel, you had the realization that you're actually related to Laura. So let's talk about, because somebody asked that, like, how are you familiar? Your cousins, like, how are you?
Yeah.
Your blood.
Right. Yeah. So, I'd been following both the raw material and Cassiopaean material for about 20 years, and didn't know that Laura and I were second cousins. I didn't realize that until I had sort of a paranormal experience around it. So Laura Knight and I share the same great grandfather, the Reverend Jesse Knight. The Reverend Jesse Knight settled Sarasota, Florida back in the late 1800s. And it just so happens that my parents live in Nokomis, Florida, and that's where Reverend Jesse Knight settled permanently.
Well, he settled Tampa, Sarasota, so people know.
Yeah,
he settled that whole area.
But anyway, my parents go to the same church that he formed back in the late 1800s, and they were redoing the church, and there happened to be some church pews that they were getting rid of, and my dad grabbed one of the church pews so I could have one. And that the church pews, the wood that it was made out of was the wood that came from the original church that blew down in a hurricane in the late 1800s, and they reclaimed that wood and they made a bunch of church pews out of that wood. Anyway, I brought the church pew home to clean up, and as I was cleaning the church pew up, I saw on YouTube that Laura Knight had done an interview, which she doesn't normally do interviews. It had been 10 years since she had done an interview. And anyway, I was listening to the interview. I'm cleaning up this church pew that's made from the wood of Reverend Jesse Knight's original church, and which is the connection between Laura and I. And Laura, in her interview, talks about how her family helped to settle Tampa and Nokomis, Florida, and so on and so forth. And as I'm cleaning this church pew up, I realize, oh my God, I'm related to Laura Knight. We both come from the same, Jesse Knight. And so anyway, so that led me down a path.
Yeah, you thought that you got spooked out because you realized, I mean, Knight is kind of a common surname, but he's your 3 times great grandfather, her 2 times great grandfather. And so, and Jesse Knight had like 9 kids, right? Like he was breeding, he was busy.
As settlers do.
He was busy building and your mom always laughs, like there are like 500 of y'all living in that area now. There's lots of descendants of Jesse Knight living in the area. But I mean, we literally see his grave. We go by his grave all the time. It's near your parents' house. But but you're like, oh my God, I'm actually related. This is wild. I've been following this woman's work for years now. I had no idea I was actually related to her. And so you reached out to her, didn't you?
Yeah. And she was sort of cold with me. It was.
Yeah. I thought she's really rude.
Yeah. It was really a strange experience. It really sort of threw me off. And I think was the beginning of the eye-opening experience of who she really was and who the Cassiopaeans were. And Bryce really helped, change my perspective on that and help me to look deeper into it.
Well, I was freaked out because, you were introducing yourself and excited to connect with her, being, you weren't asking her for any favor. I mean, my platform's bigger than hers. So,
right. Yeah, but I wasn't asking
you weren't asking for any favors. Like, you didn't need any favors. And you just wanted to say, hey, I didn't realize we were related, and I love your work. And she was so rude to you. And she wanted more information about my lineage because she's really into lineages. Like, you can be proud of your ancestors, but your ancestors really don't have anything to do with your value, right? Like, you have to prove your own value. You can use the DNA that your ancestors, we have DNA for a purpose. Like, I know my ancestors were, and my grandmother's, my dad's mom's side, were really into like magical stuff. And, maybe that's coming through in my life too, but it's my choice. Like, we don't get grace in this world because of who our ancestors were. Right? That's very negative. That's negative polarity. We have to make our own way. We can be proud of our ancestors, but anyway, she really, and I told you, like, she wanted me to contact my mom's cousin to get some letters, like having to do with like the royal family. Anyway, and I just said, I kept putting you off because I was not comfortable with that. Something in my gut, I did not like the way she spoke to you. I thought that was so rude. Since my channel has gotten big, I've had second cousins reach out to me that I've never met before. And I was totally been in correspondence with them, asking them questions about their, like, this is family, right? Like, we share common ancestors. That's cool. And I just did not like the way she spoke to you. And I did not feel comfortable sending her my private family information. But nonetheless, I started reading the Cassiopaean transcripts here on Esoteric Atlanta. And my initial impression was two things. One, this woman knows nothing about spirituality, absolute nothing about spirituality, because she values her value. She's putting her value on things her ancestors did. Like, she's important because y'all are descendant of Sir Thomas More. I'm sorry. That's cool. That's cool. He wrote Utopia, but he lived like 500 years ago.
Right.
What's he going to do for you now? Right? Like, that's cool, but you have to be your own. You have to work on your own self. So she's really into hierarchy when it comes to like value of like who your parents are, who, very egotistical about the fact that her ancestors said, almost like she felt like Florida owed her some great badge of honor because of Jesse Knight. And
it's like, get in line.
There's like 500 of you, right? Like, right. It was very strange. And I was like, this woman is really confused about the soul and the nature. Like, she is really thinks, and and I started noticing too that she thought awakening was knowing conspiracies.
But the more conspiracies you knew about, the
more awake you were. That's not true at all. At all. There are some people who are conspiracy theorists who are the most asleep people I've ever met. And then there are people who are so in the matrix, but they are spiritually awake. What do I mean by that? Being awake means to understand your soul. And your soul has fuck all to do with conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories are just meant to show you that things are not as they seem. As they say in Sanskrit, the Maya, the illusionary world. Well, if this is fake, what else is fake? And that's when you go on the journey of the soul. But she really prided herself on like knowing conspiracy theories, and that was the way to ascend, when it's not at all. I mean, even the bad guys in the world, the establishment, knows all the conspiracy theories, and they're not on our path, right? So, and then the second thing I noticed about her was I kept saying she is really badly behaved. Like, she is bad behavior. Like, she just is not, as my mama would say, she's got no couth. Like, this woman is so badly behaved. And I kept getting like white trash. I know that sounds bad in my head, but that guy also said the same thing, didn't he? And Rollo Tomasi's, that she's just trashy. She's just a trashy person. And so I started really coming out of here and being like, Todd, something's not right. Something's not right. And you pushed back, didn't you, for a long time?
Yeah. I did.
No. And then,
just saying that it wasn't about the channeler. It was about the channeling material. But then slowly I started to open my eyes to it, and then started doing some digging of my own. And I dug up so much stuff having to do with Vincent Bridges, going all the way back to early 2000s. And he, was the very beginning of the Cassiopaean material actually getting out to the mainstream. And he was sending out warning flares of like, this is starting to form into a cult. And he wrote, he was already an author and researcher, and he was sort of a big deal in the metaphysical circuit.
Yeah.
Hung out with the, did conferences with the OGs back in the early 2000s, and even did some TV shows, Nostradamus 500.
Yeah, we watched it the other night.
Anyway, so really out there, and he spent a lot of time writing articles trying to expose the cult that was being formed around the Cassiopaean material after Fred Earlin had left and after Laura had hijacked the channel.
Yeah.
And in this material, the all the stuff that Vincent Bridges wrote has been buried in the archives of the internet, literally buried, just waiting to be found by someone. And lo and behold, this information has been found by Laura's second cousin, myself. And so I've taken it
karmic,
isn't it? I've taken it upon myself to expose Laura for who she really is, a total fraud, and to expose the cult that's been formed around the Cassiopaean material, and also to expose the fact that the Cassiopaean material is service to self channeling.
Doesn't mean it's still not valuable, that we can't find information out of it.
And that's for some people, that's hard to understand. But when you're without the veil, and when you're in fourth density, you have different rules that you're bound by. As third density beings, we can lie,
we can cheat, we can steal.
Yeah, because we have the veil, and everyone around us has the veil, and that gives us the ability to lie and deceive. Now, when you're at fourth density and above, you don't have the veil. And what that means is that you see everyone's intentions. There's no use in lying when you don't have the veil, because people see it, because other entities, other spiritual beings see it as a lie immediately.
Yeah.
And so also, there's some rules of the universe, and higher density beings, sort of by spiritual law, can't lie to those with a veil, because they'll depolarize. Service to others, there is no reason to lie. They'll withhold information, but they don't lie just because they're service to others. But fourth density service to self, they can't lie, because that means that they depolarize. That means they lose spiritual power.
Yeah.
And when you're a service to self, you live to rise up in the hierarchy. And so to them, they don't want to depolarize, because that makes them less powerful. And so if they infringe upon a third density being's free will by lying to them, then they immediately and majorly depolarize. And so when we say that fourth density service to self don't lie, that's the reason, is they're not going to risk depolarization, because polarization and the pursuit of more polarization, greater polarization on your path, is a fourth density service to self.
Right.
Objective.
So they're really not going to compromise.
So they won't lie, but at the same time, they're tricksters. And so the way that they deliver the information can be delivered in a way that's deceiving. The way that they word it and how it's delivered, it could end up having the same effect as a lie.
But they didn't lie.
Right. So it's important to use your discernment. And look at me. I was fooled by the Cassiopaean material. But also there's something else to consider, is that the channeling that's done from 1994 to 2000 was done with Fred Earland,
who's called Frank in the transcripts.
Done by Fred Earland and Laura Knight. And Fred Earland has his own transcripts, which you can download. And those transcripts were from the years of 1994 to 2000. So you can compare those, the original transcripts from Fred, you can compare those to the ones that are on Laura Knight's website, her transcripts, and you can see where Laura has changed her version.
Yeah.
Versus Fred's version. So you can go back and see how she's lied and changed the transcripts in those years, always to suit herself. Now, all the transcripts from 2000 on is just Laura. So you don't know.
We don't know what she's changed.
Yeah, you don't know what she's changed. And so I would say don't waste your time looking at any of the transcripts after 2000. If you want to see the original transcripts, you can go to the links on my videos on the Cassiopaeans, and I've put a link to where you can download the original Fred Earland transcripts between 1994 and 2000. You can compare them yourself.
Yeah.
And so humans lie.
So, and we don't even, we never see
4D
her.
service to self do not lie. And so that's why service to self channeling, there can be some benefit. The only reason we got the information on the organic portals, which I think is through the 4D service to self bragging about, look what we created.
We tricked these first density souls to leapfrog over second density, come to third, so we can control them. They think they're going to go on forward, but they're actually going to have to go back and do.
But what something else that's going on is that, you know, this universe doesn't need the service to self polarity. It's actually very unnatural to be service to self, and it can be completely done away with. But the 4D service to self have assured that their quote unquote service to self lineage continues because organic portals
are more than likely to come when their second go round at their density to go service to self.
Right, because it imprints them
as being selfish and wanting to leapfrog.
It imprints the soul, so to speak. I mean, they don't have a soul, but at the same time, they have the spark of the creator, the first density spark of the creator that can be imprinted on. And so once an organic portal is imprinted on, and then they go back to their native density, first density, and they eventually traverse through first, second, and then make it to third. Once that organic portal makes it back to third, and third is their native third density, then they're more likely to go service to self. And so that's how the 4D service to self are able to assure that their service to self lineage will continue. Because if it wasn't for that, service to self choice would eventually be eradicated on its own, because we don't really need the service to self to be able to continue.
Yeah. We have a great question here. So she is not channeling the Cassiopaeans. Do we want to get into that? She is.
She is. So
it's a deeper conversation though about her. She's not a wanderer, and that gets back. Wanderers are literally the only people who can naturally channel because of the RH negative,
but also because
they need it to survive. A soul person doesn't necessarily need that to survive, because they're not facing the obstacles that a RH negative wanderer is.
Third density native soul is just in third density to make a choice, whether they're polarized negative or positive by their decisions that they make in their lives. And that's all that they're here for. But then when a sixth density wanderer comes in, it's a totally different game. Yeah. And a wanderer experiences so many attacks, and they have so much working against them that they need something to help them a little bit on the path. And channeling is one of those things. Is really wanderers have a lot of siddhis available to them given the situation that they find themselves in, whether it be their profession or something else. And so those gifts aren't to be used to dazzle people or to get an advantage over someone. It's just to help wanderers keep their head above water.
Well, and that goes back to
protection,
because protection isn't just given to you. You know, when it comes to, you know, free will, which is the rule of this experience, allowing people to experience their karma, the good side is not going to step in unless asked to step in by the person. So majority, that's one thing I have learned from the Cassiopaeans too. Majority of the spiritual experience people have are Lizzies. Like they said, the Mother Mary has never once been seen. It's been a Lizzie that people, and that's one thing that the dark entities will do. They, just because they're dark entities doesn't mean they're ugly. They could have a bright light as well. Right? And people just assume, if you assume that's what they are, they're not going to correct you. Right. And so what you have to do is you have to always ask, are you here for unconditional love? Because they cannot lie. So if they are not here for unconditional love,
are you here? Do you serve self or others? That's another question you can ask them. And channel is, just because someone channels, just because a wanderer channels, doesn't mean that they need to put it out online.
No, absolutely not.
And most of the wanderers aren't putting out their channelings online. That's another thing, is that they're only using that to help with their lives and navigate their lives. When people think of channeling, they're thinking of these freaks on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, acting like they're channeling. And that's not what it's about. And also, channeling can happen in many different ways. And it's never to get, attention or to get
winning lottery numbers,
right? Or to look special. That's not what it's about. And so, going back to wanderers channeling, so only wanderers can channel naturally, because that's one of their siddhis, to help them survive third density. But also, a non-wanderer can get in tuned by a wanderer that can channel. And
it's like tuning forks, right?
And so if a native third density person, whether service to others or service to self, were to sit down with a wanderer for years and years and years, channeling with that wanderer, being the other hand on the planchette, they can eventually, in a way, get attuned to that and sort of be given that ability to a certain extent. And I think that's what's happened with Laura. But also, what Laura has done, in my opinion, from the information that I've been able to gather, is both Fred Earland and Vincent Bridges were both wanderers. And when Fred stepped away from Laura, she could no longer channel. Mm-hmm. She could do a little bit, but it was never to the level it was when it was Fred. And so a year or more went by of her really not being able to channel like she used to be able to do with Fred. And then Vincent Bridges came along and got on the planchette with her, and all of a sudden
it came back.
And so, in my opinion, what Laura had done, and in one of the articles that Bryce and I read together that Vincent Bridges wrote, he talked about this mirror ritual, this mirror ritual that both him and Laura did back in like 2001 or something. And he had talked about how Laura just changed into this different person while they were doing it. And he felt like this really dark presence overtake both him and Laura. And that's when Laura started her campaign to destroy Vincent Bridges. And in my opinion, what Laura had done is she destiny swapped with Vincent Bridges. And so she did a black magic spell to steal Vincent Bridges,
which can happen,
ability to wander, to not wander, to channel. And after that, Vincent Bridges' life was never the same. Laura was on a campaign to destroy him, and she wrote, from what I understand, like 500,000 words between multiple articles, just going after Vincent Bridges, trying to destroy his life. He cost him tens of thousands of dollars. It cost him 2 of his businesses. It almost cost him his marriage. And eventually, from what I understand, it cost him his life. And so that's a way that a native third density soul person can steal a wanderer's ability to channel. And I feel like that's what's happened with Laura and the Cassiopaean material. And it's why a service to self, native third density soul person like Laura is able to channel, if she's even able to channel. Let's put it that way, because we've never seen video of her channeling anywhere. Mm-hmm. And
it's always just typed up transcripts. And eventually one day we're going to channel on your channel. channel on your channel when you're able to go live, and so that people can see like what is actually happening without anything being hidden, because it'll be alive, and we've actually proposed that to her, like, put it out there, show us like you doing this, because
and from the very beginning, because the way I understand it, and she should know this, especially about knowledge protects, and and use your discernment, and there's no such thing. These are quotes of Laura. There's no such thing as a free lunch when it comes down to spirituality, and so on and so forth. There's a protocol to opening up the channel. You don't just jump on the board and take any name that they give you and just assume
it's good.
Right. Assume that it's good. You go through, and once you get the entity on, sort of to start speaking, the first questions is, who is this? And
who do you serve? How do you serve?
Are you self-service to others? Are you here for unconditional love? And so on and so forth. You don't just jump on and just assume, oh, this is the same entity we've always been talking to.
And so they expect you to ask those questions every single time. We get reprimanded if we don't, because that's the way for us to protect ourselves. Another sign that a group is positive or negative is in a negative polarity above third density. They individuate. They're selfish. They have individual names. And you see that with the Cassiopaeans. With the positive polarity, it's one group. It's one soul. It's one memory complex.
Because you're talking, it's called a social memory complex. And so when you move from third density to fourth, fifth, and sixth, the entities form what they call a social memory complex.
On the positive side.
On the positive side. It's fractured on the negative side because they don't coexist together in harmony. They're always trying to up one another. So in the 4D service to self, they don't create a social memory complex. But with 4D service to others, they form this social memory complex where it's like they pool all their experiences together, and they form this cohesive unit. And so when we're talking to fourth density service to others, it's always the same social memory complex. It's never individuated.
LU.
Right. It's Lu, LU. And Lu has explained that it's La Ta Om Lu Q Ra. And those are so first density is LA, and then
their vibrational frequency Ta
is second.
Om is third, so that's why the yoga texts say Om is the vibration of God, because it's a third density vibration. Lu is fourth. Q is fifth. QU is fifth. Ra is sixth.
And Ra, see, that's another thing. We don't have enough time for this, but also I have my complaints about the Ra material as well,
which we can get into. But but when they were channeling Ra, I am Ra. It was always Ra. Lu, it's always Lu. Another thing you see some like manipulation there is Laura like doesn't allow cussing. She's because she wants to keep it positive. Lu, our group cusses all the time. They're hilarious. They get things a little bit wrong sometimes. Like we were talking about something
instead of saying karma's a bitch, they say
karma's a slut. That's why we started laughing so hard, because it was so funny. And they're very direct. They give us we were talking about all these other channeling things where they give these long, drawn out, my brothers of light, and they give all this word salad in their response.
Lou lazy.
And we said, but you only like give us one word answers. And he goes, yeah, Lou lazy. They're funny. And that's because humor comes through the positive side. They're also not love and light. They're tough love. They're tough on us, aren't they?
Tough on me. Maybe not
more
you.
on him than me, but he gets it hardcore. But they do it to help you work through stuff.
It's like working with it's like when you hear stories about people studying with actual gurus, and which in my opinion there are no real gurus, because Lou's told us, gurus get their information from Lou, basically. Yeah. So working with someone like a fourth density service to others is like having a guru, and it's tough love the whole way. And for them to give you certain information, they have to clear the way for that. And so they'll send you on little journeys, emotional, physical.
And it'll slowly open up. And there's times where they just like won't answer a question. They'll just go, you were starting to ask a question in the plan chat, just slowly went, no. And one time we were on it, you were asking us questions and they just went, goodbye. They just like hung up the line.
And you couldn't even move the,
it couldn't even and so they're funny and it's very different. And so what we're saying with the Cassiopaeans, so yes, we think Laura has in the past been in touch with the Cassiopaeans. We're not sure what's happening now because she doesn't have any video evidence. We know she has altered transcripts because we have 1994 to 2000 to compare it with. And we can see she always alters stuff about her. So and even Vincent Bridges told her that if she ever allowed the original transcripts to be released, it wouldn't look good for her. That's how much she altered them to make herself look good.
I think that was the beginning of the end for their relationship.
And Laura is not a wanderer. She's a native third density service to self. She is not service to others. She is service to self. And that is very, 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 very obvious. It was obvious for me when I was reading the transcripts that she was service to self. And then you get the back information, which you have that on your channel, of like her attempted unaliving charges when she was 18, the fact that she's broken up marriages and she lies constantly, and this grandiose sense of self. And so definitely she fits all the textbook markers of a cult leader. Like her and L. Ron Hubbard, same. David Miscavige, same. The only difference is those guys have more money than she does. She scammed people out of money. Like she's in France now. I don't even know if she can come back to the United States. He's got to take. Okay, Todd just stepped off. You need to say goodbye.
No, I am. I was just going to say.
I thought you were going to make Robbie dinner, but anyway. He has already popped his head up. Well, I'm going to get off soon anyway because we've kept these beautiful people for over an hour now. And
all right. Well, thanks for joining us. I'm going to have to step off.
Okay, step out. I'll close it out.
Okay,
he's going to go take care of Robbie. But you guys, so I'm going to tell you guys because I've seen so many comments of people saying they're loving this conversation, but they don't know the backstory. So go to Todd's channel, which is the Confused Wanderer. He is that's his mission, to get all of this information out. He has a backstory on Ra, which is the Law of One, which is where this all starts. And he's going through, we have literally, guys, from Vincent Bridges, he found all of his old stuff that was really hard to find. We've got like content for years just based off of Vincent Bridges stuff. So please go subscribe to him. Also, if anything ever happens to my channel, because you guys know I'm super shadow banned, I'm so glad you guys are here because I'm super shadow banned. So if anything ever happens to my channel, his channel is also going to act as my backup channel. So right now we've got a lot of the same videos like we're collabing, but eventually it's just going to be only on Todd's channel because this is his thing, right? Like he introduced the Law of One of the Cassiopaeans to me. He is Laura's cousin. As I've said before, we are expecting her to call us organic portals because that's what she does. Anytime somebody pushes back, she calls them an organic portal. All right. Just like the Scientologists, anytime somebody pushes back in Scientologists, what are they called? A suppressive person. So the Scientologists call them SPs. She calls them OPs. We are absolutely expecting that to happen. We're absolutely expecting channeling, wink, wink, to be put out about us being OPs, but she doesn't show herself channeling. She just types it up. And when that happens, you guys, we are going to be so excited when that happens. We're finally going to be famous. And we are going to read it on to you guys on our shows when she finally does that, because we know it's coming. She follows the same playbook, like a good narcissist, like a good malignant psycho. I think she's a psychopath, to be honest, a malignant. I think she's a megalomaniac. I think she's a psychopath. And like any good psychopath, that's my opinion, any good malignant narcissist, grandiose malignant narcissist, they follow the same playbook. So expect it. Expect her to put out a reading about us being organic portals. Expect it. So when that happens, we will absolutely laugh it off with humor. I have dealt with way worse I had a destiny swap spell done on me where someone stole my birth chart. If you guys remember that a few years ago, it was really bad. So I've had that happen to me before. Laura's nothing. She's a gnat. And so we just want people to, hey, Jen Brown. Yeah, you can catch up from the beginning. And so you can just start over from the beginning, girl. So we are just going to handle it with humor. We're going to handle it with humor when it happens, right? Because she follows the same playbook. She can't take criticism at all. She cannot take any type of criticism, and like a good cult leader. There's been a lot of health issues with her members because of health, recommendations she's giving, which honestly, I hate to sound like a bitch, but look at her. Like, would you take help? I would never take health advice from her. Look at her. So it's just crazy. And we really just want people to be safe. We want to whistleblow this stuff. Channeling is a beautiful thing if done correctly. And we want to teach people to have discernment and to understand the template of the law of one so that they can have better discernment when they're navigating this crazy world of channeling and all that kind of stuff. So you guys, please make sure to subscribe to Todd, the Confused Wonder. I believe his link is in the description box below. Also, I know Midwest Night Watchers, correct me if I'm wrong. You go live on Sundays, right? If you go live on Sundays, put your link if you want to in the chat, Midwest Night Watchers, so that people can have it, so they can hop over to your channel when you go live next. Midnight Midwest. I always get tongue tied. Midwest Night Watchers. So you guys, if you have not checked them out, please. 6 Central Time Sunday night. So that is 7 o'clock for us on the East Coast. So make sure you guys see the guy in the chat with the blue wrench, my moderator. Go subscribe to their channel so you can watch their live tonight and be there for them. I'll probably be in bed at that time because we get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. So make sure you guys go and support them. We've got, as I said often on this channel, as Ram Dass says, we are all just walking each other home. So all of us who are trying to get to the truth, who are shadow banned, we got to help each other. We got to support each other. And I thank you guys for being here. Also, update for my channel this week or this month. It was actually from Midwest Night Watchers. They told me to try just going live more to help with the algorithms. So this month, you guys, for November, most of our episodes are going to be live this month, just to try to see if we can get my channel out of the corner. Except for maybe some episodes with like Catherine or Tamara. I'm going to be recording next Sergei Monast installation tomorrow. That is going to be over on RUMBLE because it cannot be on this channel. And on, you guys can probably hear Ravi. Can you hear Ravi singing for his food right now? He sings for his food every night. So the Sergei Monast stuff is always going to be on RUMBLE because of the content. And also it will be on Substack. So if you are not following me on Substack, please follow me on Substack. I think the link is down in the description box below. Any episodes that I cannot put on YT that have to go on RUMBLE, I'm also going to upload those episodes to Substack as well, especially for our community members who are in like France and Norway and places where they don't get RUMBLE. Now with Substack as well, what I'm trying to use Substack as too is like an email. So I can, yeah, you can. Yeah, he's singing for his food. He always sings for his food. So if you guys can hear that, you get an extra little show, extra little concert. So if you subscribe to me on Substack, what I'm going to start doing every time a video uploads here on YouTube, I'm going to send an email out so that you guys get the email to know the videos here because of the chat. We're trying to work around it. So if you want to subscribe, it costs nothing. You just subscribe and I send out the videos. And so we've got some fun stuff coming up for Thanksgiving. I was just looking through some Thanksgiving urban legends to look at this month, as well as this Tuesday, November 4th at noon, my time, 12 p.m. We're going to do a lunch live. We're going to continue talking about a hidden true crime, that channel and the drama I did a show yesterday about that, the drama going up with hidden true crime, and are they controlled opposition? Are they being paid off by the LDS church? I don't know. We're going to look at some evidence though on Tuesday on our live. Because they fooled me. I was a huge fan of hidden true crime, and now I'm kind of wondering if they aren't also controlled opposition. So we're going to talk about that on Tuesday, you guys. So please make sure to join us for that. Thank you, Midwest Night Watchers, for putting up your channel, your links, and also Todd's links. And I think that's it, you guys. If you have any questions beyond this, again, go to Todd's channel to look at the full playlist of the raw material, the Cassiopaeans. But if you still have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section on my videos or on Todd's videos, and we will do more lives. If you guys want us to do more lives, we'll do more lives with Todd. So anything, you guys want. So thank you guys so much for being here. I'm going to go ahead and sign out. I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday evening. Again, make sure to catch up with Midwest Night Watchers this evening over on their live tonight. All right. Hope you guys have a wonderful evening. I will talk to you guys on Tuesday. I'll see you Tuesday. Bye, everybody.